Hey guys, this is Ruben from Dark Horse Tech. Doc Hoffbauer asked me to record a little seminar, a little brief seminar on what's going on in the Windows 7 Server 2008 end of life that is approaching. That deadline is the 14th of January in 2020, so looking just about 5 months to get plans together, budgets, and see what we're going to do there. So, for our existing clients, we sent out an email to everybody last January, letting them know that this was happening and how to plan for it. So, if you do not have a plan in place, this is something you might want to pay attention to. So, the goal of this is to address this upgrade as cost effectively as possible while remaining HIPAA compliant, and that is what we're going to do here. So there's two paths depending on what kind of hardware, how old it is, etc. We can upgrade old hardware, Windows 7 to Windows 10, or we need to replace that hardware with new hardware. So we'll discuss the upgrade path first. It is the cheaper of the two paths, so we're going to try to do that if we can. All right, so we have the upgrade workstation path. The conditions we're working under is the hardware is no older than 4 to 5 years old. That's the cutoff line for what we're going to be Windows 10 compatible. So our solutions, the legal way to do it is you buy a Windows 10 license from Microsoft or your IT provider, and you schedule a time to do that upgrade. The not approved, non-legal, is there is a link you can go to and click on and download Windows 10 and run a upgrade tool. It does work. It does activate. Microsoft has outright said this is not what they want you to do. So do with that information what you wish. I did not want to not have it in here because I would consider this an incomplete assessment of what your options are, just letting you know what the conditions are if you choose to do that. Obviously, as a legit IT provider, that's not something that I can recommend because I want to keep doing business with Microsoft for a long time. All right, so then there's the upgrade workstation. We're going to talk about upgrading the server now. So there's no direct upgrade. So we're still working in that no older than 4 to 5 year timeline, but there is not a straight upgrade or flawless upgrade path like we were talking about Windows 7 to Windows 10, where you input the key, you hit next, it does an upgrade, it restarts a couple times, and Windows 10 is now your operating system. So it does require a complete wipe of your server and reload from scratch. So because there's a backup process, there's a reload from scratch process, there's ramifications on what's happening on the rest of the network side of things. This is something really you should do with your IT team. Unless you have an IT background, this is one of the more complicated things that we'll end up doing. So just you should really budget about a day of downtime to do this. If a professional is doing it, maybe a little bit longer. If someone is not as familiar with dental software, you might want to budget 2 just to be safe. And that is what we're talking about in terms of upgrading the server. So let's move to replacement. So we have the buying new, and we have the buying used or refurbished, which is used. Again, as an IT provider, I can only sell new computers, so that's what I will quote to you. Most IT companies will do that as well. I believe, not selling something that's going to last longer than a year potentially without a warranty to back it up is not a good business decision from an IT standpoint, but it's your business. You need to make that decision for yourself. So if you want to buy refurbished hardware, those are some of the most common venues to do that. If you want to buy new, buy it from your IT provider. You can buy it directly from Dell. And I gave a kind of a recommended specs on there. Intel i5, which is quad-core processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 to 256 solid-state drives, and Windows 10 Pro. You might want to bump up that hard drive if this is your console computer, your doctor's computer, and you're going to store more on there, but typical range of what we're looking at. All right. Of course, replacing a workstation is easier than replacing a server. So again, recommend doing this from your IT team leading the charge because it is a very complex thing. Same process. just not having to wipe the old server. We have to do the reload from scratch, essentially, right? So budget a day of downtime, or two, if it's not an experienced team. Put some specs on here, kind of differentiate into two if you're like a relatively new practice or you acquired a practice recently with older hardware. Startup specs: Intel Xeon processor, E3, 16 gigs of RAM, a 2 times 1 terabyte RAID 1 hard drive set, and Server 2016 is still kind of the standard, so we should be using that now. An existing Office, maybe an Intel Xeon Silver 4110, 32 gigs of RAM, so double up on that RAM, and we'll do a times 4 1 terabyte RAID 10 or RAID 6, depending on your data set with that same thing. So Chris asked me to come up with a deal to get everybody kind of on the right track here. The deal is we're going to, here at Dark Horse, we support 420 dental offices on a day-to-day basis as their IT provider. We're going to give away our services to let you know what plan you need to have in place. So there's a free assessment report that we will do for you. If you can run this tool called BellArc Advisor and install that on each of your computers, it will generate a report. If you can email that report to me, Ruben Camp, which my email address is admin@darkhorsetech.com, I'll send you back what my preferred recommendation. I'm not going to say this is what it costs unless you ask me that directly. I'm just going to say server needs to be upgraded, server needs to be replaced, workstation upgrade, workstation replaced. Just let you know what you should do. If you have any other questions about this, feel free. My email's here again. My name is Ruben from Dark Horse. I'm sure you've seen my name around enough. And yep, that's it, guys.